engines growl in the dark, but the tanks out there are wood and canvas. One Axis pilot, 1 second look, and the 8th Army gets erased before it can even swing. Tonight, the desert is a stage, and the props decide who lives. Philip Cornish presses his palm against a fake turret. It flexes like a theater wall. Wood ribs, calico skin, sand caught in the seams. Up close, the lie is humiliating. From the air, it's lethal. El Alamein is a choke point. Sea to the north, the Qattara Depression to the south. The front is squeezed into one narrow strip, and everyone knows what that means. If this breaks, there's nowhere to run. Cornish tastes grit between his teeth. He hears the distant thump of guns, and under it all, an engine, faint and steady, circling somewhere above the darkness. He whispers the rule like a prayer. If they look twice, we're dead. This is Operation Bertram, the cover plan before the Second Battle of El Alamein. The mission is simple to say and brutal to do. Hide the real punch in the north while selling the enemy a story. Main attack in the south and not ready for 2 to 3 days. First complication, the enemy expects preparation. So Bertram gives them preparation, loud, obvious, and wrong. In the south, dummy armor blooms like a mirage. Hundreds of shapes built from local materials like calico and palm frond hurdles, designed for one thing: correct shadows at altitude. It doesn't need to survive shells. It needs to survive a camera. Second complication, the lie has to be a pattern, not a stunt. Axis analysts compare yesterday to today. Sudden jumps scream attack, so Bertram moves like a clock. That's where the most dangerous prop comes in. A dummy water pipeline built southward at an apparent rate of 5 miles a day. Every day it must extend. Every day it must still look unfinished. Some days' worth must remain unbuilt when the real attack starts. So the photos keep whispering, not ready yet. A runner from A Force pushes into the sand shelter with a message that makes Cornish's stomach drop. Another reconnaissance sweep at first light. Not a casual look, a deliberate mapping run. The kind where they photograph, circle back, and photograph again. So the lie has to be ready by dawn, not soon. That's why Bertram isn't just Cornish with canvas. It's a machine built by men like Dudley Clark's deception planners and Jeffrey Barca's camoufleurs, all feeding one narrative. And Montgomery doesn't want a small narrative. He wants the enemy to bet their reserves on it. He even orders the dummy armor doubled to look like an entire armored corps, over 600 vehicles, because a timid lie invites a second look. Third complication, the real tanks must move forward without looking like tanks, so Bertram stages a swap. For weeks, trucks sit openly in a tank assembly area, meant to be photographed and filed as harmless transport, while the real tanks wait farther back. Then, 2 nights before the attack, the trucks vanish and the real tanks roll into the same space. Before dawn, crews hinge on light canopies called sun shields, disguising tanks as trucks from above. The plan now hangs on silhouette. One crooked canopy, one wrong shadow, one metal glint, and the pilot overhead doesn't suspect. He confirms. Cornish sees a sunshield sit half an inch high on one corner. Half an inch. He drops, yanks it down, pounds it into place, and looks up like he can feel the camera. The engine swells. Cornish goes rigid. Men stop talking mid-syllable. Even the tools go quiet. A shadow slides across the sand. Wings, crisp in moonlight, then circles. This is the moment that kills you, if anything does. Not a firefight, a photograph. Cornish watches a sun-shielded truck from the corner of his eye, praying the canopy doesn't flutter, praying the wheels and angles read right. because the Axis don't need to land. They just need to take a clean set of frames, fly home, and let an analyst do the murder with a ruler. The aircraft banks once, just enough for the camera to see the shapes from a new angle, and Cornish feels his throat tighten. If the pilot sees a tank, the northern attack is born dead. Fourth complication: you can't move armor forward and leave its old footprint empty. That same night, dummy tanks replaced the real ones in their original holding areas. So on film, the armor still looks 2 or more days behind the front. The enemy keeps counting tanks that aren't there. Fifth complication: artillery gives you away, so Bertram turns guns into trucks. Field guns and their limbers wear simple box canopies called cannibals, leaving real wheels visible in the right places so the silhouette reads as transport. Wind snaps at canvas. A corner lifts. For a heartbeat, the outline looks wrong. Cornish lunges, drags it down, pins it, because he can hear that engine again, closer now. Sixth complication: supplies betray intention. An attack needs fuel and food in obscene quantities. From the air, dumps are a confession. So petrol cans are stacked along revetted trenches where shadows swallow them. Food is piled in boxy shapes and netted to resemble trucks. Anything that might scream buildup is forced to whisper. Seventh complication: the lie has to sound alive too. Alongside the props run Operation Canwell, false radio traffic meant to match the pictures. When the enemy hears south and sees south, the story hardens into truth. Eighth complication: the desert fights you. Heat shimmer bends distance. Night cold bites. Dust gets into cloth and hinges. Wind lifts corners, erases tracks, draws new lines. And human error is worse. One wrong route, one too perfect shape, one net tied enough to look staged. Bertram isn't one big trick. It's 1,000 small ones, and any one of them can crack the mirror. Then the night of truth arrives. On the 23rd of October, 1942, under a bright full moon, the calm snaps. At 21:40, Operation Lightfoot begins with a massive 1,000-gun barrage. The horizon becomes constant lightning. After that, nobody studies photos. They react. So the only question that matters is the simplest one. Did the lie hold long enough? Here's the aha, the sinister genius of dummy tanks. They didn't need to stop shells. They needed to stop certainty. They needed to make the Axis wait, misjudge, and lean the wrong way. So when the real blow landed, it landed on a mind already off balance. After the battle, captured German General Wilhelm Ritter von Thoma told Montgomery he believed the Allies had at least one more armored division than they did, and that the attack would be in the south. Rommel's stand-in, George Stumm, thought the attack would not begin for several weeks. Cornish walks at dawn past a collapsed dummy tank. In daylight, it's laughable. Sagging calico, exposed ribs, but he doesn't laugh because he can picture the alternative. Real tanks burning in rows, crews trapped inside, an army shredded while still forming up. Sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't a gun. It's a picture you plant in your enemy's head and the discipline to keep it there. And if you're wondering why this still matters, it's because the tools changed, but the rule didn't. Camera became satellites, radio became data. Deception still lives in silhouettes, timing, and the hunger to make your enemy look away at the exact wrong second. History never dies. It just echoes. And in the desert at El Alamein, you can still hear it. That engine overhead, and Cornish's whisper beneath it. If they look twice, we're dead. Subscribe for more.